Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about scores and parts. So your task one, which you can see right here, is just for you to write, to notate this first line of a Schoenberg piece, just the first four measures, and then create parts for it, just to practice using linked parts. So I went ahead and created set up a score there. Now just so you know, obviously the names of the instruments are in German. So this would be flute, violin, cello, and this would be reciting voice, so I'll just put voice and piano. You can change these to make them look just like these in German, but I'm just going to set this up, I guess, a standard way. Okay, I'm going to, can't even see the time signature. Let me see, it's 2-4, okay. 2-4 is my time signature. And let's go ahead and put this text here, B-E-W-E-G-T. And then we have 66, and there is no pickup measure. And we just need 4 measures. Okay, I apologize for the noise in the background. My long guy showed up, and hopefully it won't get too loud. Okay, so with respect to scores, you'll see that Finale automatically grouped together the strings. Although in the original, the flute, the violin, and the cello are grouped together. So you can manage that, the groups, from right here. So you go to staff, groups and bracket. You can't see it, but there's a there's an option here to the right that's either to add a group, a bracket, or to edit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to edit it. Let's see, group 1 is piano, and that's fine. Group 2 consists of violin and cello. And what we can do here is we can say group 2, or in other words, bracket number 2 will start from flute and go up to cello. And this is where you choose the type of bracket. You can have none, you can have just a thick line. You can also choose whether you want the bar lines to be drawn through the staves, which is exactly what happens right here. You can see that the bar lines are drawn through the staves of the group, then they're interrupted for the next group, which is just a voice, and so on. So we can do that there as well to make it look similar, and then just click OK, and there you go. Okay. So the this tempo indication here, we could deal with that just by double clicking here. I think you can see it. Go to the expression tool. We'll double click in there, and you can edit this here if you want, and add whatever from here to whatever the tempo is that it goes to. I don't remember. And you can add C for circa and so on. Okay, this is fine. But what we're really interested in now is dealing with the parts. So when you generate a score, and it'll tell you that this is a score from here, Finale will automatically create linked parts. What does that mean? That means that if I have notes in here, those notes will appear automatically in a separate document that's specifically for the flute. And the reason this is so helpful is because whenever you are in the process of making edits and corrections, it's very easy to find mistakes. And so it's very nice to be able to correct a mistake in the score and not have to correct it back in the part, because they're linked. So that's what that means. So let's go ahead and create some music in here. We'll just put some random things. I don't want this to take too long. Update. Let's see, I do this. Oops, I went beyond. Let's say we go here in the piano and we put some notes in there as well. Okay, now I'm specifically leaving some space here because I wanted to talk to you about multi-measure rests and how that works. Let me just delete that. Okay, so anyway, we have a little bit of music. Now, to edit the parts, you go to the document, and now as you can see, edit score is checked, which means now whatever you do is just in the score mode basically. And then if you want to edit the part, you go to edit part and then you choose your part. Now these are automatically generated. You can regenerate them, and sometimes you want to do that. Mostly for this reason, this is fine. So here's my flute part, but let's go to, for example, here. You see you have this is my violin part, and this is automatically generated as well. And if you change the name of the instrument, by the way, let's say I wanted to change this to the German name, you would do this from the score manager, Windows Score Manager, and let's say instead of flute, I call it FLOT. There's umlaut, but let's not worry about that. And then when I change it here, right, it'll then change in here immediately. So there you go. There's my part name. So this is not something you want to mess with, or it's something that's automatically generated. So just leave it alone. Now, let's say that I add. So some of the elements are linked. Most of the elements are linked. Some of them are not. For example, if I'm dealing with a specific issue that might appear in a part, let's say I want this in this part to move over here, that doesn't mean that it'll move for the entire score. It'll just move in here. Or if I have an articulation and I want to scoot it up a little bit, or if I have a dynamic marking and I want to just move it around, this will only affect the part, which is great. Or if I want to change the arrangement of the measures, right? Which is great. Now let me go back to this. The one thing that can be a little frustrating is this. If I have empty rests, and that's very common in parts, particularly in orchestral music, you might run into this. So Finale will not automatically generate what are called multi-measure rests. So you have two choices here. You either select a whole bunch of empty rests, and then you right click and you go to multi-measure rest, create. That's one way to do it. Or if you have a lot of them and you don't want to have to do it all by hand, then what you can do is you go back to your score and you go ahead and go to manage parts and just delete the parts. And then you regenerate them. Because remember, the parts were generated initially when no music was there. And so now, if you go to your parts, I think it was, I can't remember which instrument it was, right, the cello. As you can see, they're already in there. So that's that's very helpful. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to say about parts. So we talked about brackets and parts, and yes, so you for your assignment number 2, part 1, you are going to have to generate individual parts as well. And then when you go to print them, and by the way, you want to make sure you submit a Finale document as well as a PDF document, because the things don't always show up the right way, and I may not have the right version of Finale that you have or whatever. And so you need to send me the PDF parts, and it'll make everyone's life a lot easier. So when you go to print, Finale will ask you, what do you want to print? Do you want to print the score? Do you want to print the flute part? Just that. Check all, check none, check current, and all that. So that's pretty helpful. Okay, so that's it for this video.